Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Together We Awaken, Finding Light in the Dark. I'm Allison Brunner, your soul sister, human guide, and rebirth midwife. And I guide people spiritually and facilitate deep soul level healing. I'm so glad you're here for this episode 6, The Parts Within. It's about inner child or inner parts work, shadow work, and even soul retrieval. So, if you've been feeling emotionally tender, disconnected, triggered by things that seem small, or just generally overwhelmed, this episode is for you. And also, I think most people are feeling this way today. Because sometimes what we're feeling isn't about right now at all. Sometimes we're bumping up against something much older and deeper and quieter, something inside. And today I want to guide you into exploration of the inner world, the parts within. And we'll talk about the difference between inner child work, shadow work, inner parts work. These are used interchangeably in the psychotherapy world, and even soul retrieval. And I'll walk you through how to begin connecting with those parts of yourself that may be holding more than you realize. So if you're ready, let's just take a breath together. And then we'll begin. So you've probably had moments when you've felt pulled in opposite directions. One part of you may want to say no to something, and another part wants to be liked and is afraid that if you say no, you won't be liked. One part might feel exhausted, while another part tells you to keep pushing. One part wants to speak up, and another is terrified of being seen. Can you relate? And this is what inner parts work helps us to explore gently. It's the practice of noticing and connecting with these different aspects of yourself without judgment. Most of our inner parts were formed when we were younger. Some of them are like protectors. Some of them are truly stuck in the past. They might be a childlike part. Some of them are still waiting to be comforted, to be understood, or even just noticed. They're not here to hurt you. They don't mean you have a split personality. They're here because at some point they kept you safe or sort of fragmented, dissociated, went into hiding to find safety in a world that didn't feel safe. So let's clarify a few things because these terms are often used, like I said, interchangeably, but they're actually quite distinct. Inner child work is about gently connecting with the younger version of you who didn't get what they needed. It could be the child who wasn't comforted, who had to grow up too fast, who wasn't allowed to be angry or messy or loud or soft. It's about going back to that part, not to relive the pain, but to bring presence to the part of you who didn't get to feel held or safe, who wasn't acknowledged, or again, who felt that they had to flee and hide. within you somewhere deep, deep down inside. It also could have been a part that was in so much pain that for you as a child, it was too much to endure. The emotions, or the people around you didn't help you to feel contained while you felt those feelings, didn't help you feel safe feeling them, or just disregarded them or didn't notice them at all. Excuse me, I may have to pause this recording again today for coughing. I still have hay fever. Shadow work is where we meet the parts of ourselves we've rejected or tried to hide. So there's some similarities with all of this terminology or what this work is, but these might be our rage, envy, sexuality, grief, ambition, desire for rest, or even our joy. They were often labeled as too much, too loud, too selfish, too emotional, too dramatic. So we learn to tuck aspects of ourselves away, or parts. But those parts just don't disappear. They show up in other ways then, especially when we're stressed or depleted or emotionally raw, when we're triggered. Oftentimes we'll know there's a shadow part when we're in judgment of others, or as therapists will call it, projecting onto others. When we're projecting something negative or some meaning onto another person, it's often, and when we're not seeing them clearly, it's often because we're projecting a shadow part of our own on to the other person. Shadow work is about reclaiming all of these parts, not to act them out, but to integrate their energy so that they no longer leak out sort of sideways. And we need these parts. We need all of them for our wholeness. There's no part of us that was ever meant to be split off from, no part of us that we were ever meant to deny, disconnect from, or be ashamed of. We all have shadow. And I want to be really clear that shadow parts are not meant to be healed. They're meant to be integrated. A lot of times in the spiritual world, or spiritual guides or teachers will want you to simply focus on the positive, on the light, and be good, be kind, be loving. And they don't want to, or they don't want you to acknowledge the shadow, and they do what's called spiritually bypassing. And so what happens when you do that is you push these parts even deeper inside, which means then it's almost as though they gain even more power, because when you're in total denial of them, they'll come out in ways you're not even aware of, that you're in total denial of. Now, soul retrieval, meanwhile, is a little different. It comes from shamanic and earth-based traditions. And the idea is that when we experience trauma, a part of our life force or soul may fragment, disconnect, float away, some have said, or go into hiding. My guide once told me that when a soul part is, when we experience trauma or profound hurt repeatedly, or major trauma at one time, the part is held lovingly by the Pachamamita, or the land where this trauma occurred. It's almost like the part is held in this sort of motherly or grandmotherly way and kept safe until one day you can retrieve it. So soul retrieval is a ceremonial process of calling those lost pieces back, not through memory or insight, but through energetic invitation and sacred partnership with the unseen realms. So that is work that I do uh, in my shamanic healing sessions with people as I journey to find the soul part either in someone's underworld or as um, one teacher in Peru, Freddie Puma, calls the underworld the inner world. And that's kind of how I see it. Or from the middle world can also be there. Um, so now I want to guide you through a simple practice. And you don't need anything but your breath and a little willingness. And you can listen to this, and if it's too fast, you can go back and listen again and do the work. You can listen to the steps and then go back and push pause and do this work step by step. This is a little bit of inner parts work. So start by thinking about a recent moment that felt charged or emotional. Or maybe it's something you still feel that way about. It can be something small or big that triggered you or stirred you, maybe caused you to feel left out or rejected, abandoned, overwhelmed, or unseen. And you'll bring your attention first to the experience, what it is that you're working with here. And as you do that, just notice the emotion that it's bringing up. You might also notice images. Maybe you're running through the memory. Maybe there are words involved. Notice how you experience this somatically, maybe even outside of your body. Where do you feel the emotion in your body? Is it in your chest, your belly, or your throat? Maybe it's somewhere outside of you, or you're running through it in your head. Just notice. And you can place a hand there on your body, wherever you feel it, if that helps. And just let your breath move slowly in and out of that place. And ask yourself, or notice, I should say, whether this feeling reminds you of another time in your life. You know, what's the earliest time in your life that you felt this way? You want to connect mostly through feeling versus through memory in your mind, if you can. What does this remind you of? But I hesitate to use the word remind because it takes you to your mind. But what does it feel like? And just kind of let the image or the memory or impression come up. Don't force it. Just see what arises. And gently connect with the version of yourself that lived through that earlier moment. And this might take you to a child version of you or a teenager, a part of you hiding in a corner, or just it could be a foggy presence, an outline. And introduce yourself to that younger you. Let them know who you are, where you come from. ask permission to sit with this version of you. Notice how this version of you responds to you letting them know who you are, where you're from, and asking to sit with them. How do they respond? If they want distance and they're apprehensive, give them distance, but let them know you're there. If they want you to be a football field away, be a football field away and let them know, I'm sitting here with you. And see how they respond to that. Or do they want you closer? And you may say to them, I see you. Acknowledge what story they're living in, what they experienced, how they're feeling. Acknowledge how long they've been there. And that you're here. Let them know that you're here with them now. And again, notice this little one's response, or this part of you. Ask this part what it needs. Listen with your heart, not just with your mind. And please don't offer advice. That's not what they're looking for, nor comfort. Not the kind of comfort where you say, it's going to be okay, it's going to be better. Don't give advice. That's not what they want. They want someone to be there and listen, to be present. And then ask this part what they need. What did they need back when they were hurt? This need doesn't need to be dramatic or super emotional. It's often something pretty basic and simple. Really listen. And see if the need is something you can meet. Can you meet this need for that one? Did they need protection back then? Did they need someone to stand up for them? Can you call in the soul of the person or people that hurt the little one? Call in their soul and stand up for the little one. Or maybe the little one wants to stand up to them with you there as a protector. And notice what happens. Be with that. You may need to pause here for sure. Most of the healing that comes from this experience comes from quiet, consistent attention. If the younger one doesn't appear, or you don't feel much, that's okay. Some parts take time to trust. Some have been so hurt they hide for a while, but your presence is enough. And as you do this, you might already be hearing another voice. You might not, but you might be hearing your inner critic that I talked about in the last episode. A voice saying, this is silly. You're making it up. You should be over this by now. Other people had it worse. That voice is another protector. And it's doing its job. Keeping you from the original pain, afraid that if you feel it, it'll consume you. But what's true is this. You don't need to fight with it. Just gently introduce it to a new truth, that now you are safe enough to be with what's real. You are allowed to care about the parts of you that no one else noticed. You're allowed to explore the dreams and the desires and the wounds and the weirdness that you tucked away to survive. All of it belongs. All of you belongs. And, if this younger part felt unloved, unseen, unheard, unacknowledged, you can say to it, I, the older self, I in 2025, if you're listening to this in 2025, I, the present version of me, see you. I love you. I am with you. I appreciate you. I see your talent. Whatever it is that the little one is needing. And notice how they respond. Continue the conversation. After you've spent some time together and the younger one feels that their need has been met to a degree, invite them into the now moment with you. Breathe them into your heart and let them look out at your current world through your adult eyes. Show them the world that they now live in. A lot of people will want to tell the younger one, oh yeah, you're going to be going through some hard times ahead. No, that's not true, because they're going to skip right from the moment that the wound occurred into the now moment. They don't have to relive everything that their future selves lived. They're going to come in with you in the here and now. There's no perfect way to do this work. You don't have to go digging. You don't have to remember everything. You can just work with sort of what's on the surface. You just have to be willing to turn toward the parts of you that knock gently on the inside of your chest when things feel off. And sometimes they come through tears, as tears. Sometimes they come through as resistance. Sometimes they come through in your body, in your dreams, in your art, or even your fatigue. Whatever form that they take, these parts are not trying to ruin your life. And they're never a part to be ashamed of or that you have to hide. They're all trying to return to you. Now, if this episode stirred something in you, I want you to know it's okay to move slowly. It's okay to feel a little uncertain or unsure. And it's okay if you don't have words for all of this yet. And if you'd like support along the way, this is my area of expertise. And I'd love for you to join me at the Hearth, my monthly group healing space. You can find details and sign up at AllisonBrunner.com. You can also reach out to me there online if you'd like more personalized one-on-one support. You don't have to figure this out all alone, and you're just here to remember who you are, part by part, piece by piece. And I am so honored to walk beside you. Be gentle with yourself. And if you have questions, you can leave them in the comments. Or again, reach out to me, AllisonBrunner.com.